Hey everyone, my name is Najeeb from Teamline, and today I'm going to be talking about creating belonging in remote teams. So by now, it's no surprise that we've been working remotely for some time, and for a lot of people, they feel productive, yet they feel isolated when they're working with a team. So I actually want to share simple ways to create belonging within your remote teams. Now, by now, obviously, everyone's used to working remotely, and we're in our second or even third inning working remotely. Often what ends up happening is we have 80 plus people on Zoom, yet we still feel isolated. And working remotely feels lonely for a lot. And what we have to realize is that we are all a team. And the question is, how do you get your remote team to be more connected than ever before? Well, first, we have to understand why is it that people actually choose remote work? Well, right now they have to, but before COVID, um, you know, what ended up happening is, the reason why people choose remote work is, flexible schedule, working from anywhere, no commute, spending time with family, and the ability to work from home. And because of this, our lives got impacted in several ways. Companies, we're seeing the great resignation as a lot of companies are kind of saying, hey, come back to the office, or, you know, losing talent, productivity is the other impact, as well as looking at a job satisfaction. In fact, if you look at the work happiness index, people who are working remotely, they prefer their job satisfaction. But again, it really depends on the circumstances. Some folks who have kids at home might prefer to work at home or really have that separation. And that really gets impacted by living. And along that, when we're talking about living, the other thing to kind of keep in mind is where are folks living? Because now we're having almost a decentralization, if you will, for urban cities. Folks are actually leaving places like New York with high rent and being able to live with their families in other parts of the world and not really giving up on the work front as well. So, it all seems great, but we overlook the downsides. The biggest struggles when you're working remotely is collaboration and loneliness. These two actually encompass a 40% of the challenges of working remotely. And that's not including being in a different time zone than your teammate. So we're all connected every single minute, but yet we feel isolated. We have Slack, we have project management tools, video conferencing like this. We have email notifications about notifications, yet it's still difficult to connect with others. Tech has progressed in several areas, but without proper use of the tools, we're feeling left alone. And this might happen to several folks in your team as well. Managers don't have it easy as well. In terms of managers, when asked what do they struggle with, over 70% are concerned with maintaining company culture and team cohesiveness. So what do we do? Well, remote teams are actually more disconnected and fragmented now than ever. 54% of employees are actually unattached from the work and company. They put in the time, but not the energy or passion, often doing the minimum required. It can actually lead to an 18% drop in productivity. It impacts burnout and employees leaving. I'm pretty sure if you have logged into LinkedIn anytime in the past week or month, or even the last 2 months, you probably see a lot of people saying, hey, I am leaving my current job and starting at this new place. They're excited because they're feeling burnt out. So I'll definitely share what's worked with teams. And for us, we do a lot of team building activities, and I'll share what's worked with other teams on how to kind of not only retain teams and create belonging within the teams and culture itself. The first thing we have to understand is the bad news first, which is creating belonging in teams is not a once and done activity. We have to treat it like farming or working out. It's going to take some time, and you're going to need to definitely put some effort. But the good news is that just like working out, there are different ways of doing so. Now, to understand that there are different stages of teams and there are different stages of people within the teams themselves. So we have forming, storming, norming, and performing. So forming is when you start, when the team gets formed. Storming is when everyone's trying to rustle to understand how everyone works. Norming is when you're trying to get settled into the new routine, and performing is when you're actually being super productive with the team. Now, one thing we have to realize is as folks come in and out, they're going through this different journey, and that's why it becomes difficult. So what you have to understand is if a person enters the team at the very beginning and everyone's already norming or performing, they're going to feel left out because they're not aware of inside jokes. So what we have to understand is we have to kind of walk them through this quote unquote ladder. So forming, it's when you're meeting new people in the team, and it starts with onboarding. It's meeting others in a company and getting to know others casually. So before, in person, it used to be, meeting at happy hours at a pub after work. But now there needs to be a balance of activity and being burnt out. And you don't want to keep pile on doing a lot of activities because, again, yes, you are going to burn folks out. We have to also realize that doing activities that are employee-led versus company-led, there needs to be a balance of that. When it comes to storming is conflict resolution, and it impacts belonging. It's about being listened to and having understanding, empathy. Now, sometimes, yes, it kind of might relate to HR, but it also, as a manager or a team player, you have to understand how can you kind of help be diplomatic in that situation. Norming. This is about cooperation, entertaining, and deepening relationships. Now, it can be both synchronous and asynchronous. And what I mean by that is it can happen at the same time, like right now we're all synchronous, we're all in a video call, or it can happen asynchronous, like a chat message. And you can create shared experiences through activities that create bonds, whether it's something playing a short game like a virtual escape room or virtual Squid Games or doing trivia. We have to realize that they're not all the same. And after hosting multiple events, some can be effective if it's done when it's focused on team connection and empathy, because this is what allows us to build trust while spending time with others. When it comes to performing, we have to realize it's focused on motivation, recognition, self-fulfillment, and it focuses on intrinsic and extrinsic values. We have to balance fear and desire with the reward and threat of the employees. Because if it's not looked after, it can lead to burnout and employees quitting. So all the work you have done up until now, it can basically go down the drain if it's not carefully cultivated. So what we have to realize is when it's done properly, it makes individual feel supported. And it could be as simple as just doing a one-on-one with the staff and really understanding, hey, how are you feeling like with the team? How do you feel like you belong with the team? What can we do to make it better? This was an interesting experience, that response that we got from one of the team event that we did before, which is, I like the party because there's no pressure to drink or dance or dress up. Now, this was a holiday party, but it's interesting how this carefully worded quote was from a respondent. And what was interesting is because we have to realize is that everyone's not like us. Some people are extroverted, some people are introverted, some people just need more time with their family, and we don't know what's going on. But by understanding each other, it shows that we're in the shared struggle and we can work together and make it unique for each employee. So whether it's a yoga class, meditation, a games night, there are a lot of other options to kind of create belongings. And it could be something as simple as 5 minutes or something that is a bit more substantive. I've had hundreds of teams ask me, what do we do for team building ideas? Do you have any suggestions? We always take a step back and ask, what's the goal? Why do you want to have team building activities? Do you want to get to know others casually? Do you want to have conflict resolution? Do you want to improve cooperation, motivation, entertainment, etc.? Once you understand what the goal is, then you can figure out what activities you want to do. And it can take 5 to 10 hours a month doing this, but you can do it yourself, or you can get someone else to kind of do it for you. But in the end, it's needed. So it'll help and improve the productivity, mental health, and the well-being of the company. So with that being said, thank you for staying tuned and watching this. If you want to discover more ideas, or if you just want to look at, if you want to just have some ideas for your team, On teamland.com, we actually have a team building idea generator. So you can just punch in, number of folks, the motivation, your budget, and then we'll spit out a few results, and that's free on the site. So thank you so much, and hope everyone enjoyed this.